Hi, I'm Ken Canion, y'all. I'm the host of Love, Lust, and Lies. All right, today, y'all, we're going to talk about, the name of this show is Don't Fight for His Attention. Don't fight for his attention. And the reason I did that is because I got a text in the email. Well, it came through Messenger. It wasn't an email or a text. It came through Messenger. I got this email, and the email was saying that the lady was saying how the guy, she was always calling the guy, trying to spend time with him, even during Corona. So they'd been around each other, and she would always initiate the conversation. When they talked, she would always call him. Now, he would call back, or when they would go out, she would do the planning and all of these things. And so she asked me, she said, I just realized that I'm always the one taking the initiative. So I said, okay, listen. So I'm going to talk about today about fighting for a man's attention. And see, a lot of people think, she was in a relationship, she's like, I got to fight for my relationship. I said, let me tell you something. If you're the only one fighting for the relationship, it's never going to work. Never going to work. I said, because here's how men think. And so we're going to get into today of how you handle a relationship when he ain't calling you back, when he's not taking the initiative. He's not being active. You're the only one calling. You're the only one texting. So let me tell you how, but let me tell you why. So the first thing you got to understand is when we're talking about not fighting for a man's attention. So I want you to understand it like this. Ladies, never, ever, ever chase a man. Don't chase anything. When you chase, anything you chase always runs from you. Whatever you chase, it runs from you. Money, when you chase money, money runs from you. When you chase people, when you chase a man, it runs from you. Whenever you're chasing something, it always runs from you. Instead, what we're going to do is attract it. When you attract it, it comes to you. When the law of attraction is when you attract money, when you start doing things that attracts money, it comes to you. I tell people when I'm teaching them in business, I'm like, stop running after money, going after trying to make this sale, trying to make that sale. I said, let's create a business model where you attract the right people so the money comes to you. Same thing here. So stop chasing the man. So when you're fighting for his attention, you're chasing him and he's running. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you what to do so you can attract the right man or the right attention. Now you can do this with the same man that you're with. But I'm going to tell you the steps to go through. And then when I tell you these steps, what I want you to do is either follow them or not. Keep getting the same results you've been getting or not. It's up to you. All right. So I'm going to give you the formula. I'm going to give you the formula. So if you're in a relationship, say you're new at it, or even you've been in it for a minute, and you notice that he's changing. You notice he's not acting the same. You notice he was all in it at first. A lot of times this happens right before he hits it. He's all in it. But then after he gets it, sometimes he gets lackadaisical. Before he got it, before he got the goodies, the cookies, he was opening the door, he was calling you, texting you all times, telling you, good morning, hey beautiful, how you doing? Bop, bop, bop. All of the things setting up, trying to get the cookies. Now, how do you know when a man is just wanting the cookies? He got a sweet tooth, or he wants to be with you? Well, there's a way to find out. And so what we're going to do is I'm going to tell you what to do. So if you notice, number one, I said don't fight for his attention. What we're going to do is attract his attention. If he doesn't give it to you, then he's not the right one. And we're going to show you. I'm going to show you exactly what to do. Number one, first thing is, if you notice something, if you notice his behavior, what I want you to do is what women do. The first thing they start doing is complaining. They start complaining. They start, what, you're not spending time with me. You're not, I know that, this and that. And they begin to complain. They begin to go after him, badger him or whatever. And so what you don't realize when you complain, you know what the man says? I still got her. See, men will test women by pissing them off. Because if I piss you off and you get upset, then all of a sudden I know I still got her. I know I still got her because I pissed her off. Because listen to me carefully. When a couple breaks up, the worst thing is not, see, I always say love and hate are two extreme emotions, but they're not the worst emotion. If you're in a relationship and a person, and you say, I hate him, well, you still got a chance to win her back. And you're like, what? I hate him? I said, yeah, because hate and love are not that far apart. They're both intense. They both carry emotion, but they're not that far apart. A few different behaviors, and the love goes to hate, or the hate goes to love, okay? The worst emotion to have is indifference. Indifference is the worst emotion. Indifference is when she says, this is how you know the relationship is over. Okay, so a guy came to me and I was coaching him on relationship. He says, do you think it's over? He said, do you think it's over? And I said, well, how does she feel? He was like, she didn't really care what happens. And I said, it's over. It's over. He was like, huh? How do you know? I said, because she's in the indifference stage. When you get in the indifferent stage, it's like, I don't care what happens to you, live, die, whatever. It does not matter. I don't care. Indifference is where you don't want to be. Sometimes you do want to be in that stage. If you were in a relationship with a person and you want to get out of being that and having that grab and that hook on you, you want to get to the stage of indifference. You don't want to get to the stage of hating him. That means you still got an intense emotion about him, and he said a few right things, and he can have you right back in that web again. So indifference is. So I tell people, I said, when you complain, what happens is he knows he still got you. When you're still acting, giving him that attention, even if you're mad at him. So the first thing you want to do is you want to attract the right relationship. Number one, give him a time and a time frame. Give him time to work it out. So this is what I mean. So if he ain't spending time with you, if he's not doing the things that he once did, in your mind, you give him a time frame to work this out. Normally, I would say between 2 to 4 weeks. And what I don't want you to do is tell him you're giving him a time frame. Because if something's going on with the man, a lot of times things are going on with us. We're trying to figure it out. We go in our cave. It might be 2 to 4 weeks. It might take time to figure it out. Don't complain during this time. Don't do any of that. But if you notice he's not doing the things that you want him to do, I want you to do something. And this is how it works. I want you, if you're not getting the behavior you want, I want you to do what I call pull away. I want you to pull away. I want you to pull away a little bit. I didn't say break up with him. I said pull back. I said pull away. Because here's what happened. What I mean by pull away. I mean by pull away is this. If you used to initiate the calls, stop it. And I'm gonna give you a rule in a second. But the rule, I'll give it to you now. It's 80-20 rule. And the 80-20 rule says this is if you used to do it 80% of the time, I want you to go 20% of the time. So when you pull back, now as opposed to doing 80%, you're doing 20%. You're not, and when he calls you, you're not ignoring him. I mean, you're not saying, I'm not going to call you back. You are going to call him back, but you're just not going to do it the way you used to do it. A man has to feel you pulling back. He has to. If a man doesn't feel you pulling back, then he knows, I still got you. I still got her. And if you don't pull back some, stop calling as much. Okay, I know you want to call him because you're in love with him. I know you feel it. But I'm telling you, if a man never fears losing you, listen to what I'm saying. If a man never fears losing you, he will ultimately devalue you. He will ultimately devalue you. It's not that he tries to. It's human nature. It's like the kid, y'all. You know how y'all get your kids something on Christmas. So watch this right here. You get your kids something on Christmas. You get them this toy that they always wanted. And they play with it hard for 2 weeks. 2 weeks. Now, they've grown used to it. Okay, so they put it in the corner. All right? They still own it, but they put it in the corner. As long as they can control it and own it, they're good. They don't have to play with it, though. So this is what happens. So this is what we did one time. I told my daughter, I said, listen, we want to give that toy that you don't play with to another needy family. No, it's my toy. Because she wanted to control it. Even though she doesn't play with it, she wanted to keep it. Know that I got it. Know that it's mine if I ever want to go back to it. But doesn't want anybody else to have it. Okay? And so what you have to do is you got to say, you know what? I'm giving this to somebody. The possibility exists that I'm going to give it to somebody else, that I'm going to be with somebody else. And the only way a man does that is if you pull away. Okay? The second thing is, in fighting, don't fight for his attention. The second thing you want to do is this. Forget about what you feel. Okay? And remember what you deserve. So here's the thing. What happens is this, is a lot of times we get so desperate in keeping a relationship, we will forego our standards. We will forego anything that resembles what we feel, any standards that we set, we will forego anything we deserve that looks like we deserve, and then we will take whatever he gives us. Whenever you take whatever a man gives you, listen to me carefully. Whenever you are willing to take whatever he gives you, he will devalue you. He will devalue you. And so what I tell people is, and when I'm coaching people, I say, hey, so what I want you to do is, I want you to understand this. A man will only rise to the standard that you set for him. Human nature, even me. I will rise to the standard you set for me. So if your standard is, I don't get in a car unless you open the door, that's the standard. I get used to the standard and it becomes my standard. What a man does is when the woman is the one that creates the standard. If she doesn't create the standard, he creates the standard. What happens is when a woman creates the standard by which we operate by. Now, a man has his standards too, but there's some things in a relationship that the woman creates. She creates the standard and the man chooses. He decides she is worth adhering to the standard or she's not. But here's what women do. Here's what women do. They'll create the standard, and then when he falls below the standard, they tolerate it. They don't check him. They don't chin check him. You know, like the boxers do when they chin check somebody. They don't chin check him. And when you don't chin check him, what happens is he's like, okay, I'm good. I'm good. She let me come in at 1 o'clock in the morning. She didn't really say that. So now we've created a new standard. There is a new standard. And women, what happens is you were complicit in the creating of the new standard. And you just accept it. What you thought was, I ain't gonna start bitching. I'm gonna stop bitching. I'm gonna do this. And here's what you say. You say, listen, the truth is, you can be like, I'm not gonna complain about it, but here's the standard. Here's the standard we're gonna live by. I'm not tolerating anything less. You can't come over my house at 1 o'clock. You can't do that. I'm sorry. And don't say anything else about it. So when he does it, you pull back. Because if you don't pull back, it means you are rewarding negative behavior. And women do it all day long. You reward negative behavior. You reward negative behavior. And then when you reward negative behavior, we keep doing it. We keep doing it. And y'all wonder why you ended up in this quagmire. You ended up in the quagmire because your ass, you were complicit in creating the standards. You gotta chin check him. Yeah, Naomi, chin check the fool. I'm telling you, y'all, a woman creates the standards, a man lives by it. But what happens is we will only rise to the standard that is created for us. Me included. I'm just being honest. And so what you gotta do, you gotta think about it. What are you willing to create? And most of us don't create standards because we don't demand what we deserve. We demand what we can tolerate. We don't demand what we can do. We don't demand what we deserve. We demand what we can tolerate. The reason you do that is because you feel like, if I got this man, I don't want to lose him. So I'm willing to compromise who I am to keep him. And ultimately, when you compromise who you are to keep a man, you will ultimately lose that man. Hey, you ain't gotta like it. It's just true. I'm keeping it real. Number 3, and don't fight for him. Stop fighting for him. Number 3, stop seeking reassurances. Y'all, this right here is insidious. It's devastating to relationships. Here's what I mean. When I say stop seeking reassurances, how many times do ladies ask, you still love me? Do you still love me? Do you still love me? I mean, do you care about me? Well, and you're always wanting reassurance about it because you're not sure about who you are. And so because you're insecure in who you are, you look outside yourself to get reassurances, to get validation. Okay, you know what? To get validation, to get, affirmation. You want him to affirm you. You want him to affirm you. And then when he doesn't affirm you, then you look for reassurances. You still love me? You still love me? We still good? And what that does is, let me tell you what that does. Whenever you look for reassurances, you actually get less assurances that the relationship is on solid footing, because every time you continue to ask for that, you're asking for the man to give you something that he can never give you. You're asking for him to give you love of yourself. And the truth is, he can never give you love of yourself. Only you can give you love of yourself. That is the reason why we're doing this 5-day intensive. Just ask. Because if you don't heal the inner inside of you, if you don't, all of us have insecurities. Let's don't get it twisted now. I'm not going to sit up here and say, I don't have insecurities. I got insecurities. I told y'all about some of them. Everybody has insecurities, but the truth is, I'm willing to work through my insecurities. We all need work. We all need a coach. We all need somebody. We all need somebody to help us on this journey. What happens is when people say, I'm good, I don't need nobody. I'm good. I don't need anybody. And you know what? Those are the ones I'm very suspicious about. When a person says, I'm good, I don't need anybody, I don't need any coach, Michael Jordan was the greatest basketball player ever. But he had a coach. He had somebody to guide him in the way that he should be, the way that he should act, how professional, how he should take over. He had a guide. Everybody needs a guide. And for you, if a person says, I'm unwilling to take a guide, then I venture to say that you'll probably be in the same situation that you're in next year this time. Okay? It's that simple. And the last thing is simply this. You must, at the end of the day, you got to be willing to walk away. You got to be, if he's not giving you the attention, you got to be willing to walk away. I've said this before and I'll say it again. You have to be willing to walk away from anything or anyone. If you are unwilling to walk away, that thing or that person will always control you. And I'm not saying you have to walk away. I'm simply saying you have to be willing to. Because if you're not willing to, that thing or that person will control you. Period. Will control you. And I guess the thing about that is this. Some people stay in relationships too long. They do. They stay in relationships in their subconscious mind. They believe if on some level, if I keep doing the same behavior, I'm going to get a different results. And you've heard the quote that says insanity is doing the exact same thing and expecting different results. The truth is that you're not going to get different results. What you're doing is, if you're with someone, they like it that way because there's no requirement put on them. Whenever you're in a relationship with somebody and you're not getting what you want, and the other person likes it the way it is, the reason they like it, y'all, is because there's no demand put on their character. Y'all, anytime you're in a relationship, there is a demand, especially a good relationship. There is a demand put on your character. If there is no demand put on your character, that means the relationship is not good. It is toxic. It is not right. Because what happens is, in the relationship, both parties, there is a demand put on your character. If one person, there is no demand, another person there is, something's wrong with the relationship. Something's wrong with the relationship. And you got to be willing to walk away. A lot of times, and I'm going to end with this. A lot of times, women are in relationships and they stay in them way too long because they're either fearful that they're going to be alone, or or fearful they won't find anyone else, so they tolerate, or fearful that they just don't know what to do, or they're in a relationship and they're scared that their finances or whatever may be jacked up because you're depending on the guy. But either way, they have accepted and they are willing to accept the pain that goes with that. And what that means is think about this. People are motivated by two reasons. They're motivated either towards pleasure or away from pain. And what it is people will do 10 times more to avoid pain than they will to get pleasure. The reason you see the riots in the street is because there is so much pain. Whenever the pain to change is greater than the pain to stay the same, you're going to stay the same. But whenever the pain to stay the same is greater than the pain to change, you're going to change. I often say this. If your why is big enough, your how becomes irrelevant. You have to have a big enough why to be in a relationship. If you're tired of being alone, then stop doing the shit that lonely people do. Start getting around people so somebody can coach you and show you how to attract the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams or whatever. Y'all, until the pain gets so great that you have to change, you're going to stay the same. So my point is simply this. I get on here every day because I realized something. Somebody inboxed me yesterday and said, Ken, and it blessed me because she's one of my students. She said, it's not about how many people on your live, how many followers you have. It's about the impact you have. And she says, you have had a major impact on my life. And so what I'm saying to you is this. I am committed to helping people change, their lives. But I can't want something for you that you don't want for yourself. You got to be willing to change. I'm Ken Canion, the host of Love, Lust, and Lies. And you guys have a wonderful day. And remember, every journey starts with one step. Take yours today. All right? Peace.